We're going to talk about the college football expansion right now. Right now, the Big Ten wants a 24 team playoff expansion. The SEC only wants 16. We're basically guaranteed an expansion either way. It's just whether it's going to be 16 or 24. It is a crazy topic because we were talking about, again, I don't know how long ago it was, 4 or 5 years ago, when this first 12 team expansion was happening. How are you going to be able to get 12 competent teams in a college football playoff run? When we saw in previous years, it has really only been the Alabamas, the Georgias, whatever. Now, with the landscape of NIL and transfer portal, we see a team like Indiana and a team like Miami, who hasn't been great again over the last 10 years in the national championship. So again, the landscape has widened. They do have the ability to again expand even again, and I do think it comes down to again, Big Ten wants 24. Obviously, it comes down to money as well. The more meaningful games you play, the more games you play in general, it is going to generate more revenue and grow the sport. Now, when we talk about a 16 team college football playoffs, I think a 16 team is definitely a good format. Like, I think you can get 16 competitive teams again. We are going to see more teams use NIL and transfer portal, more competitive teams. But you could argue right now, if they made a 16 team college football playoffs, we talked about the Notre Dames, we talked about the Texases, the Vanderbilts, BYU. There were teams outside that a lot of people think deserved a college football playoff spot this year. I do think the format would have been fine with 12 if you were able to put the 12 right teams in. The issue is with the college football committee is they want to put in these JMUs, these Tulanes in the college football playoffs, these group of 5 teams, because they want every team to be able to have a path in any conference to make the college football playoffs. But we all know these teams are like minor league teams. When they had Boise State in last year, when you could argue Boise State had the best player in college football, and Ashton Genty, they get routed. Every time a group of 5 team gets in, they get routed. But again, it is that debate: should every team have a shot in the beginning of the year to go into the college football playoffs, or should only be these top programs? If you make it 16 or 24, you're automatically giving in the group of 5 team a chance, along with a lot of these programs looking on the outside that could have made a run. Like Miami was debated in the very last second of getting into the college football playoffs. Now they're in the national championship. I think you could agree if Notre Dame was in or if Texas was in, they could have made a similar run as well, but they missed out. 16 teams, I think, is perfect. You have pretty much every team that should get in. Again, as it's expanding, maybe 1 or 2 teams look in every year that could have possibly made it and made a run. But again, you have the group of 5 teams that have their shot, and then you have the other teams in the outside as you're expanding it to another 4 teams. When you get into a 24 team college football playoff, I understand the point of it as well, because now these bowl games that a lot of people are already in the transfer portal or are going to the NFL, where again you have half of your roster playing in a bowl game and it becomes meaningless. With a 24 team playoffs, these bowl games get integrated to the college football playoffs, and now these bowl games become a little more exciting, a little more meaningful, and they're not just like, hey, half of your roster, only the people that are coming back next year are playing in these games. That's obviously a significant problem with these games later in the season. My whole thing with the 24 team playoffs, now you're really banking on, again, the landscape just keep on widening and a lot of these teams becoming more competitive. Because if you look at it again, we talked about Notre Dame, BYU, Texas, Vanderbilt this year, all teams that could have made a run. After that, when you're looking at Utah, when you're looking at Arizona, Michigan this year, Virginia, Houston, all these teams probably would have been out very quickly. And again, you can make the argument whether it's in all major sports, whether it's the NFL like we're talking about, or again, NBA, whatever. There are always teams in the playoff that don't really have a pathway to the championship. Like we all know that, even though the NFL has been wider this year than ever, there are a couple of teams, whether it was the Steelers, whether it was the Chargers, whatever, very hard route, nearly impossible to get into the championship. Again, that would be the case you'd be making, I guess, with the 2014 playoffs, but you're also given the case as well that you want these bowl games and the games at the end of the year to be more meaningful. And then you're also banking on, again, the landscape widening. Again, I want to get your thoughts on a 16 team playoff and a 24 team playoff. I think both have their cases. I think both would be good for the sport. Again, I can't really lean on which one I would rather have. I'm kind of greedy as a college football fan. Like 24 teams gives me more games to watch. 16 teams, probably the better format for the right now when you talk about teams deserving to get in. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I feel like if you go 24 teams, I feel like you're just getting more into like a March Madness style tournament
And you make it
with
where the
college
regular
football.
season doesn't matter as much too.
Yeah, and I also think too, I think they got to do something with the conference championships too. Like I just feel like those don't really have much of an impact like they should for certain teams and for certain conferences. At least with how things went today. I mean, especially like with the ACC championship, right? You know, like Duke wins, but like they shouldn't even. They don't even qualify for the tournament, even with winning the conference championship.
Like I think conference championships will always be meaningful, and I do want them to continue to be meaningful. But at the same time, when like you look at a college football playoffs and everybody's going for a national championship, and it doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily matter, I don't want the meetings to just keep going down and down and down the same way.
yeah,
I think it should be important to win your conference.
yeah. I think if they are to expand it, like you said, I think 16 teams is probably the better route because you know for the certain teams that got left out, like you said, Vanderbilt got left out. You know, there's no discrepancy. Like the few teams that got left out, they'd be in. So I would definitely be okay with that. I mean, I'm fine with the way it is right now. I know you have the you know the teams like who was it? Was it JMU? They
JMU
got
and
blown out.
Tulane.
Yeah, like they getting blown out and Tulane. Like yeah, I mean those teams probably didn't deserve to be in. You know,
But then
I
also you have the thing that's tough. Like it's like if you're Tulane or JMU, then you're just saying like, hey, no matter what you do this season,
yeah, it doesn't matter. Then you're not in. Yeah, it's
that's tough too.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because I mean, you look at college football. I mean, the conferences that run the show, it's the Big Ten, it's the SEC.
That's
You
why
know,
they're the two making the decision.
yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's a tough call. I don't really know. I mean, I guess yeah, I guess 16 teams would be the route. You know, but I think 24, like I said, is just too much because then you're just getting into like March Madness territory, and with college football, like that doesn't work. Like college basketball works because you see upsets, but with college football, the better teams usually, for the most part, win.
And
So
it's all like March Madness is just completely different again because like you get one hot player, one really good player, they could
mhm.
go on a run themselves and will a team 2 3 games. But when you have again maybe like one or two elite players on a college football roster and you're playing a 24-man game, like you're gonna get dominated in the trenches. It's
Yeah.
not gonna you're not gonna have as many Cinderellas. Again, I kind of like I like 16 now, and then if they were to wait again, maybe another 5 years, seeing how the landscape opens up, and if more teams end up being like an Indiana using the transfer portal and just gets wildly more competitive, then maybe going to a 24. But again, we all know sports; it all comes down to revenue, all comes down to viewers, and like part of me thinks they're going to lean 24.
Well, that's going to give them the most games. So yeah, so we'll see.
Which again, I have always said it. I mean, I am greedy, but I do think college football again, it's the shortest sport. I mean, you got 12 regular season games. We talk about how the NFL is short, but again, 17 games, 12
It
games
might
again.
be
So
18
it's the
games
ability to grow.
eventually.
Yeah, but again, it is a debate right now, 16 or 24. Either way, it is going to widen to some extent again. I'm with you. I would probably rather 16, but I do think they're probably going to go 24 just based on again everything.